was falsely accused, humiliated, and left suicidal. That is the story of Amma, whose nude videos were allegedly leaked by her friend, who accused her of snatching her boyfriend. According to Amma, she was filmed without her consent while taking her bath. This incident happened 5 years ago when she was in senior high school. She was 16 years at the time. But today, 21-year-old Amma is still depressed and facing the harsh realities of life all alone, as though she had no family. Stella Amoya's report read to you.
Started taking pictures of me and videos. She told me to stay away from the guy or else this is what would happen to me. I thought she was joking. Because who would be so heartless to do that?
That is Amma narrating how she was non-consensually filmed back in senior high school by a female colleague who accused her of snatching her boyfriend while threatening to release the footage.
I was on vacation and one morning I woke up to loads of messages. It was scary, and I honestly cursed the day I met the guy. Literally cursed my stars. I told myself I wasn't going back to school because I couldn't face all these thousands of students with the mere thought that they all know how I look like without any clothes on. I was ashamed. Reality started hitting me when I was sacked from home because my mom said I had brought shame to her, so she couldn't live with me. I was 16 years at then. Where was I supposed to go? That was when I told myself, this is it for me. I can't live life like this without a mother even wanting to live with me. Crying out loud, I never took these pictures myself. I'm innocent.
As sad as it may seem, there are many more people who have suffered similar fates. A research by domestic violence charity Refuge indicated that 1 in 7 women has received threats that intimate photographs of them will be shared without their consent. According to a clinical psychologist at the Ghana Police Hospital, Dr. Foster Nenewoto, shame and guilt suffered leave the victim with a lifelong impact.
Studies have established that the effects that sexual abuse have had on people in childhood especially is similar to what revenge porn can have on people, where people can develop depression, they can even go to the extent of becoming suicidal. And so it creates a perpetual mental health burden for such people for many years to come.
Dr. Nenewoto believes that the Cyber Security Act, which criminalizes the sharing of explicit content of an individual without their consent, will serve as a deterrent to perpetrators beyond the remit of the existing Criminal and Other Offences Act.
But recently in 2020 we have the Electronic Transactions Act. That law is more even stringent than the Criminal Offences Act. And in that law there is custodial sentence. Apart from fines that may be in, a person can actually be put in prison for a longer period compared to the previous one, which had up to just months, but this one up to years in prison.
There seems to be a glimmer of hope as far as the legal framework regarding the phenomenon is concerned. Even though the new act prescribes up to 25-year jail term for perpetrators, its effective implementation is what will ease the pain of victims. Stella Amoya's report for Joy News.
So that's a story that has been filed on revenge porn, and we'll be doing some more on this story. We'll be looking at how prevalent this is, especially among young people. We know that Parliament recently passed a bill on cyber security, which is supposed to deal with some of these activities. We'll find out if indeed this will be sufficient to deal with it legally, but also there are other aspects of it, the psychological, the emotional aspects. Let's go on to Zoom right now and speak to James Kofi Annan, who is president of human rights NGO Challenging Heights. Many thanks for your time here on Joy News Prime. You have seen the story as a human rights person. What is your reaction?
Yeah, thank you and good evening to your viewers. This is a very sad story, but this is not the first time something of this nature is happening. We have had several cases where even bloggers deliberately share such nude pictures as a way of attracting viewers and readers to their site. Now, it tells you, the fate of this lady, young lady, tells you how broken our system is. So if the secondary school that she was attended had strong counseling and support system, she would not have dropped out of school. She would have gotten the support that she needs in order to be able to continue her education. As it is now, she has been deprived of her education. So which means that all of us, by virtue of the broken system, all of us have helped this child to drop out. Unfortunately, the girl is underage, and it is possible that the person who shared the nude is also underage. So the law might not be able to catch up on both of them. I will recommend that now that we have a good law that bans the sharing of such nude pictures, I mean, people use it to blackmail, to smear, and so on and so forth. There's a need for public education, intensive public education on the law, so that people know that you can no longer blackmail somebody by way of sharing such nude pictures, even by way of just taking them with the intention of sharing them. Because remember that the intention of doing committing a crime and actually committing the crime are both criminal. Also, I believe that we must strengthen our counseling systems in the secondary schools and look again at the Children's Act.
Yes.
If you look at the Children's Act, there's some protection for some of these children.
Yes,
and we need to have a look at it.
And we'll be exploring that legal aspect when we're joined on the phone by a lawyer. But your organization has done, work on human rights. You did mention that this is not the first time it's happened. But when it comes to young people, how prevalent is this? And how can your organization support victims like this?
Well, as I said, it's very prevalent, just that it doesn't come, a lot of it doesn't come to your attention. It's confined to the bloggers. And I don't have the statistics with me, but in Ghana, especially in Africa, it's one of the key things that people use to blackmail young girls, even into sex. So once they get the nude, they can ask for more and more and more. I have offered that our organization would want to look after this girl. We want to help her. She wants to be a lawyer. That is what Challenging Heights stands for. We look after victims of such situations. So we have put out an information to look for this young girl and support her. We have a shelter rehabilitation center that can support her. So we want to support her. If you want to be a lawyer, we want to support her to be a lawyer. For the past 17 years, Challenging Heights has supported over 1,500 victims of various human rights abuses, especially children. This will not be an exception.
Thank you very much. That is the president of Challenging Heights, James Kofi Annan, joining us on the story of revenge porn. They've offered to give some help to the victim in this case. We'll be exploring the legal aspect as well once you're joined on the phone by a lawyer to look at what help possibly can be explored as far as the law is concerned. But let's move on to some other stories now, still on the law. Lawyers for embattled Asin North MP have filed a notice of appeal at the Court of Appeal in Cape Coast, seeking to overturn a decision of the High Court. We'll return to that shortly. But let's go on to the phone lines now. We're joined by lawyer Komi Dichi, who is a private legal practitioner. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. Help us understand what are the legal implications of the action allegedly taken by a friend of the victim or a mate of the victim.
Okay, so thank you for having me, and good evening to your viewers. I may not be specifying, my responses may not be specific to this particular case. I will generalize, and then based on the responses, we are able to determine the options available to her.
Very well.
So the options can be classified into two. You will say civil, and then we will say criminal. For civil, under the common law of Ghana, she's allowed to sue in the tort of libel, which is one of the main classes of defamation. At least we are familiar with a case which was decided in the Cape Coast High Court by Justice Jones Duche when he was a High Court judge there, where someone's nude pictures were circulated, some were sold in a market circle, and the court held that he could found an action in libel against him, and indeed, in that case, the court found the persons who were culpable liable to the victim in the tort of libel. The case, I think, is Kwam versus Sally, 2003-2005, Supreme Court of Ghana Law Report. Then there is also the criminal route, where the person, the victim could make a report to the police. It looks like with respect to the criminal dispensation, the law has shifted a little, so I'll deal with the old law. Okay. And then I'll come to the position of the law as we speak today.
Very, very briefly, because of limited time.
All right. So previously, under Section 280 of the Criminal Offences Act, Act 29, the person could have lodged a complaint that the person who published the images is liable, and the person could be guilty of misdemeanor, and the maximum sentence will be 3 years. But under the new dispensation, there are enhanced sanctions for persons who engage in such acts under the Criminal Cybersecurity Act, Act 1038, where the person, the victim could report, and if the gentleman, the lady who circulated the pictures is found liable, could go to jail for up to 5 years.
Okay.
Yes, and pay a penalty of 240,000 Ghana cedis. Yeah.
Very well. Thank you very much for your time. That is private legal practitioner Komi Dichi bringing us some legal education on that story. So there's some room for redress for her once she decides to test the law on this issue. You're watching Joy News Prime.